Jumping into Red Light, I
Please.
watched it and I loved the hell out of it. Like it's such an interesting concept. How did this one come to fruition? I know you helped produce it too, right?
Did, yeah. I've been looking for a movie to do for a long time, a good one. I sort of got about 3 years ago. I got just real sick of doing crappy movies, and I said, I don't care if I don't work for a while. I'd rather just find something that I love. You kind of reach a point in your life where, I'm a very lucky man. I get offered a lot of things, but most are lousy. It's just the way everything is. And so I have a friend named Marco De Molina who's a producer in Los Angeles, and Marco um, is an incredibly effective producer. He produces like sometimes two. He's a music video producer, and he does like 2 music videos a week. He does huge ones, like for
Mm-hmm.
major stars all the time. That's all he does. So he's a man who knows how to get things done. But we became friends because we have similar tastes. So about a year and a half ago, Marco handed me this script. He goes, "You should read this." And normally, I never read scripts from anybody. I kind of got sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
But from Marco, I would read it. So I read it, and this thing was great. It was a feature-length script. It was the horror movie I really, really wanted to make because it's the kind of horror that lasts, in my opinion. The feature version of the thing you saw, which is it deals with themes that are are effective in a horror sense now and in the future. And those are
Mm-hmm.
the, of course, best kind of horror movies. They're the kind of things that last. For example, as goofy as we think of them now, movies like Attack of the Radioactive Spider was not a comedy when it came out. People were very concerned about radioactivity and what it could do, right?
Totally.
It's stupid now, and it was a B movie then, but people weren't laughing when they saw it. They just thought it was maybe mediocre or whatever. But these don't last. Themes like that don't last. But it's sort of eternal themes do. I studied classics in college, and so those are the kind of things that kind of resonate with me. And I love horror, and this did. So that's how it came about. Marco had a friend who he was working with named Alex Cajuan,
Mm-hmm.
and Alex directed this movie Escondido, which I saw, and I thought, man, this kid's great.
Mm-hmm.
And so Marco wanted to combine me and him, and I said, okay, but I'm coming in as a producer because I want to make this damn movie. I want to make sure it goes. And he was like, great. So Marco and I teamed up, and Alex came on board, or rather, I came on board third, I suppose, technically, and we made this thing, and we made this short, really more as a proof of concept rather than a full length short. And then COVID hit. We were like, oh crap, we made this damn thing. We
Mm-hmm.
can't go to any studios to pitch the thing. What are we going to do? And so Alex came up with the idea of, well, look, we'll just send it to festivals. We're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. That's a good idea. We did. And our first, time we put the line in the water, the Sitchie's fish came up, snapping and speaking Spanish. So we went, holy smokes, this is amazing. We've since got it into, I think, 5 or 6 other festivals quite quickly, and we're really pleased. And we didn't think it would go this far. It was just
Mm-hmm.
kind of good luck, really.
It just really stands out in my opinion, just visually, the performances. It really has this interesting setup that has that kind of twist towards the ending of the short without giving anything away.
Yeah,
But it's kind of the best kind of short, in my opinion, that you watch it and you're craving more and you're wanting to see a feature out of this. I think that that's where it excels the most is when it's done. You want to see a feature of this movie. So my other question is, when all of this is gone, like we don't know if it's near or far, but when it's gone, are
yes.
you guys going to pursue this into the feature that you read?
Yes. Well, in answer to your first comment, thank you for the kind words. I do appreciate that very much. It's always nice to know when someone likes the thing. Secondly, yes, the whole point of the thing is to make it into a feature film. We love the short, and we're proud of it as its own animal as it stands. But we all want to make this into a feature, and I think it may have had a good shot just before COVID would have hit, but as it was, we all had to wait, and we were rather frustrated by that. So, but we are also happy that it's doing well in the festival circuit as a short. But yes, we're looking forward to making this into a feature.
Good, good. That makes me excited. the film really speaks on this kind of like influencer mentality that's going around a lot these days. These people are so obsessed with likes and retweets and followers, but they kind of lack human decency and compassion. And that was the first thing that stood out to me about this one, is that you could recognize all these despicable people that you've come across on like social media or news things. And it's just like, on one end, you never want to wish for someone's death, but on the other, it's kind of satisfying to see these people almost get their comeuppance in a way. Is that maybe something that stood out to you, or?
Oh, most definitely. A script, when I read it, has to hit me on a visceral level first. And by that, I don't mean blood. I mean visceral in the sense of hit your gut. And then I had to ask myself after I read it, what about it is both disgusting me and attracting me to this script? Those are the best kind of stories, after all. For me, those are the ones that appeal to me the most. When I talk to guys our age, sorry, you're younger than me, but you're still, I think, a Gen Xer, if I'm not mistaken.
40, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So you're borderline, kind of.
Yeah.
You're borderline. But I think anybody maybe over 35 can understand that feeling of people being so obsessed with their devices that they become narcissistic, and in doing so, become self-absorbed and become really dangerous in a sense. If you're not paying attention to what's going on around you in terms of everything, your family, your friends, your finances, you become a liability as opposed to an asset to the society.
Yeah.
I felt, look, we all have angry, primitive instincts, whether we like to believe we're more advanced or not. That's number one. We check them at the door when we walk outside and put on our ties and coats and brush our hair and things, of course. But when we are sitting in front of the TV, watching the news or watching a movie that affects us, we want to do something. That animal sort of comes out a little bit. And I really like the script because this was the animal personified with regard to that particular feeling of feeling so angry at people who do such things, and I really liked it. But there's also something even bigger, I thought, with the story that Alex touched on in the script, which I loved, which was every single generation always feels that the next generation has screwed what they have built up. It's always been like that. And I'm positive that 2,000 years ago, some Greek in Athens, after the Romans invaded, went, well, this wouldn't have happened if you stupid kids had listened to us and formed the phalanx like we told you to. Whatever it is, I'm sure that something like that must have happened. It's just eternal, never ends. And the funny thing is, we think this is a rather recent phenomenon with regard to generational anger. Every generation does, but if you even look back at the generation just prior even to the greatest generation, they thought that those kids were spoiled rotten. Right before the Great Depression hit, man, they thought that those kids growing up in the 20s just had it so easy, and they just wanted to kick their asses left, right, and center. They didn't know that World War II, as they said, we fought World War I for you brats. Now you're walking around like you own the place. Likewise, those generations looked at the hippies and went, you hippies, we fought World War II for you. And those guys went, we fought Vietnam for you. And it goes on and on.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's eternal. But I do love that aspect of the script. And there's a part of me that really wants to tear those kids to pieces. And I get to do it in this short and in the feature.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because growing up, my father would always give me, crap for like reading comic books or playing video games. And now I find myself giving my kids crap for watching YouTube videos about people reading comic books and playing video games.
Of course.
It's like, why don't you just play one?
Yeah. Right. My dad used to tell me when he was a kid, his dad used to say to him, you kids listen to too much radio. It'll melt your brains. It makes you soft. No imagination.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, short film filmmaking has always impressed me in that it shows the potential of the filmmaker and as a storyteller. If you
Yeah,
could tell a very enthralling and interesting story in a short amount of time, I think the potential for someone's career is just infinite at times. And that was
I
another
agree.
thing that really stood out about Red Light is that I was watching it, and like I said, by the end, I wanted to see more. So I feel like it's the best kind of short film that people can watch because when you see a film like that, you're constantly asking, what can this director or storyteller do with a feature of the same thing?
Yes.
While making it, I mean, as an actor,
Yeah.
did you approach it differently than you would, say, a feature? Or did you kind of have that feature script in your mind?
I had the feature script in my mind, but I approached it as best as I could. There was a time in my career when I was very jaded and would approach parts differently here
Mm-hmm.
and there. I would say, "Oh, this script is crummy, so I'm not going to give it my full attention. Why should I?" And other times I said, "Oh, this is a good one. I'll give it my full attention." But I stopped doing that about 15 years ago. I realized that I'm doing myself and everybody around me a terrible disservice, by judging the material. However, this material I felt was great. And so I did approach it like a feature. So I thought very hard about it. I thought about who he was, what he wanted. And as to your point about the short being compact and needing to make a lot of sense quickly, if you don't bring it 150% for a short, you're dead in the water.
Mm-hmm.
You have an option over a feature film, an hour and a half, to kind of F up here and there and maybe like, oh, well, that's not quite the character, but you have another few scenes here and there. So you got some breathing room, but with the short, you don't. It's sort of like you're thrown onto the stage. It's like vaudeville. Like, go, man, you got 2 minutes to entertain us, and you better get it from, dance step one.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried as hard as I could, to nail it as best as my abilities would allow.
Yeah, definitely. I think you guys did a hell of a job.
Thank
Uh,
you. Isn't that
no,
nice?
you're definitely welcome. Well, Ted, I won't take up any more of your time. I
I'm
definitely.
good, actually. I don't want to take up your time. I kind of boned you yesterday, so if you want to ask me anything else, or more about this or anything, or I don't know what kind of a piece you have in mind, but I I've got another 15 minutes if you'd like, and so please, or maybe you don't. Maybe you're like, I can't stand this guy.
No,
I'm
no,
done.
no, no, no. I'd like to talk to you all day. Just have a couple other things that are popping
Please,
up. So
please.
yeah, yeah. No, I think we're good. I think we're
Okay,
good.
fine.
I
That's fine.
appreciate you so much for doing this. Like I said, it's not only a
Oh man,
huge deal to me, but like I'm
it's
probably
an
going to be a
honor.
hero
It's
to
an
my
honor,
sons or
and
something.
your mag is. I know you're probably a freelancer, but the mag is great. Like, it's one of the few out there that is. I'm trying to think. I don't even know. It's like there's very few solid, in-depth horror publications,
Hmm.
and that one is one of them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I
Appreciate
mean,
that.
usually they're fluff pieces, and I understand it's popular genre. People don't want to sit there for 6 pages and read stuff. I get it. But if you're into the genre, and if you're an insider especially, it's kind of an indispensable website.
Yeah, awesome.